Hi, welcome back to Nick's Drum Lessons. Today's groove that we're going to go over is Justin Timberlake's Rock Your Body. All right? I love showing this groove because it does just that. It grooves a lot, and there's a lot we can do with it, all right? The story of the song, actually, brief little history on it, it was originally written with the intent that Michael Jackson was going to do it, and he turned it down. Justin Timberlake eventually picked it up, had a huge hit with it, and then Michael Jackson eventually got very jealous that he didn't do it, all right? So if you listen to it, it sounds very much like a Michael Jackson kind of groove and song. So, long story short, we're going to go over the main groove and then show you how to do some embellishments with it that really pump up the chops, okay? Especially if you're covering it in a band or just playing along to it. There's a lot we can do with it. So let's go over first the main groove, all right? So, long story short, you have your eighth notes on the hi-hat, 2 and 4 on the snare. Not hard, very common. You do open the hi-hat on the and a 3 on both measures, and it's a 2-bar measure. First measure couldn't be simpler. It's just a 1 and 3 on the bass. So you have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Take a listen to the first measure and try to repeat it. All right, the second measure has that same hi-hat part, same snare drum part, but the bass drum gets a little bit more catchier, and it goes along with the bass guitar just right. It's on the 1, the of 1, the E of 2, the of 2, and then back to 3. So you count it like this, and we're counting the bass drum and the snare drum part. 1, a 2, E, a 3, 4. 1, a 2, E, a 3, 4. 1, a 2, E, a 3, 4. That against the hi-hat sounds like this. So you put the first measure and second measure together and you have the official groove that's heard on the album. Alright, so that will get the job done and you can play along to it and it's a lot of fun. However, here's where we can spice it up. The first embellishment, which will be number 2 on the PDF on nicksdrumlessons.com, there'll be a link below, is 16th notes. You're playing 16th notes with 2 hands all the way through except for the after the open hi-hat. Let the open hi-hat breathe a little bit. So, just the hands. Now with the actual bass added to it. Alright, obviously already sounds a lot more interesting, okay? And it doesn't take away from the bass and snare, which make the groove. Alright, the third way we'll show it to you is not with 8th notes, not with 16th notes, but just the upbeats, so just on the ands. I'll start it first with 8th notes on the hi-hat and then cut into the ands. You'll see it spices it up quite well. Alright, so that's a lot of fun, okay? So the first 3 examples on the PDF is the as written way, the 16th notes, the upbeats. You could certainly get a lot out of just that. The fourth one will be the most challenging one, which is kind of ripped off from a David Gribaldi lick from his Future Sounds book. What it is it's kind of a paradiddle, inward paradiddle combination. So it's right, left, right, right. There's your paradiddle. Right, left, right, left, right, left. And you just get the stickings kind of caught in your head. And again, to get used to this, I used to just sit in front of the practice pad and just repeat it to the point that I wasn't thinking about it. And usually if you can watch television and still do the groove, you're not thinking about it. So there's an endorsement for television watching. So get that going, and much like the 16th notes from the earlier part, you're not going to be playing the note after the open hi-hat. Let the open hi-hat breathe a little bit. So taking the bass and snare part that are still intact, you have a sea of 16th notes between the hi-hat and ghost notes. You'll still have that bass drum intact and the open hi-hats intact. Take a listen how cool this sounds. I'll again take it from the 8th notes into it. That is a lot of fun right there, all right? And it does take quite a bit of skill to kind of work it up to getting it feeling right, because if not, it will sound clunky, and you don't want it to sound clunky, all right? All right, so the last two things that are going to be on the PDF are just fill ideas, all right? We're going to keep the first measure intact with 8th notes, and you can use it with the upbeats, you can do it with the 16th notes, you can do it with the David Garibaldi way, but we'll just cut back to the basics so you can work on the second measure, which will be a cool embellishment. What we're going to do is, on the second measure, we're going to keep that sticking intact, or keep the stickings so that your bass drum and hi-hat are playing the same part. So you have the 1, E, a 3. 1, E, a 3. This is going to have the ghost notes that fill it in, and you'll see the stickings in the example on the PDF of it. And I'm just going to cut back with a flam on 4. So take a listen. So the last one is, all right, instead of it being the bass drum and the hi-hat, or I did also do the bell and the bass drum, just replace your hi-hat or your right hand with a descending tom pattern. And you don't need to do the bass drum at that point, because let those speak separately. And I'm still going to keep the open hi-hat intact, and then a nice little fill on 4, E, and da. Alright, so there's 5 ideas that you could add to the existing cool beat to this song, okay? Don't be judgmental. It is a groovy song to play along to, and because it's just 2 measures that loop around and around and around throughout the whole song, it does make for a very cool song to embellish and get all choppy with it. So there's a couple ideas to play along to it. Alright, if you have any questions, you can let me know at nixdrumlessons.com. Again, you can see the PDF of all 6 of those examples written out and have fun with it. Until the next video, enjoy. Bye.